So, I am not late to this update at all. But anyways, here's how and why I spent 300 million coins and 6 hours of my life on ice minions. So, when the Jerry update released, my first thought was mining, as it is for every update. I heard there was a new talisman that gave mining wisdom in the Jerry Island, so I bought that immediately. I then proceeded to check everything else out in the update, and was slightly disappointed when I realized the only other thing was the Experience 5 enchant, which is really expensive and really useless. I really wasn't expecting much though, so I just spent like 50 million coins on 2 of them and moved on. Later though, I realized what the North Star shop had brought to the game: Tier 12 ice minions. Now, I've made a previous video on why ice minions are important, but in short, they're just the best minion for mining experience, especially when utilized correctly. Anyways, the new upgrade brought down the time between actions from 7 seconds to 6 seconds at base, which is a pretty good difference, increasing my rates by about 8.2%. So I figured that I had to have them, and I went down and checked the price. The enchanted packed ice and coin requirements were somewhat hefty, sure, but nothing I couldn't afford. I didn't really know what North Stars were though, so I did a little investigation, probably asking public chat, and found out that they came from gifts. I then bought a stack of each type of gift, which was a terrible financial decision to test. I then realized after the fact that my test results were skewed because I only did 1 stack of each and the chances were literally on the wiki, so off I went onto the wiki to see how many presents of each type it would take to get a whopping 9,800 North Stars, which is what I would need for 31 Tier 12 Ice Minions and 1 Tier 12 Snow Minion for the unique minion craft. The results were downright depressing. Not only would it take a ridiculous amount of coinage, but also seemingly a lot of time. At the time, it was around 1 billion coins, and I didn't know how long it would take to get all of the presents. Luckily though, I enlisted the help of a top 10 mining experience sweat, Makash, you should check out his YouTube channel, who also used ice minions. I realized that since both players received North Stars from the gift, each one of us could give half of the presents, and it would effectively split the cost. This was pretty great, as I now knew that I wouldn't be wasting time giving gifts to randoms in the hub and could do it in an efficient way, and, well, my cost was halved. Before I get into the rest of the video though, I would like to point out a serious problem. While editing this, I have realized that I am still getting absolutely destroyed by my own Discord, which is now even more than 3,000 members higher than my subscriber count. This is absolutely unprecedented, and frankly, I think should be fixed immediately. So, please subscribe to fix this terrible, awful issue. Anyways, Makash developed a spreadsheet that we could input bazaar prices into and find which gifts were the most profitable to do, and how many of each it would take. What we found out using the wiki to tell us the average drops is that buying white gifts for the whole way would take a ridiculous 93,000 gifts and would cost us 209 million coins per person. However, after factoring in the drops from the gifts such as coins, we would only lose about 8.6 million coins per person. Obviously, that wasn't going to be an option though. Who wants to open 93,000 gifts? So for green gifts, we would lose about 205 million coins per person, while only having to open 15,500 gifts between us both. After factoring in the drops from the gifts, the number came down further to around 138 million coins. For red gifts, it would cost us 434 million coins per person, while having to open only 6,200 gifts. The cost came down to 330 million coins per person after factoring in the other drops as well. We ended up choosing green gifts because they were much cheaper than red gifts and didn't require us to open 93,000 gifts like the white gifts did. Now, all we had to do was wait for the prices to drop. The previous numbers mentioned were what we ended up buying them at, so when the prices dropped. A couple days later, I was streaming some Nucleus runs and casually keeping an eye on gift prices, which had steadily been dropping. What me and Makash were waiting for was the Jerry event to happening, in which a lot of players would be given a significant amount of gifts from it and dump them into the bazaar, significantly lowering the price. When that event happened, the gift prices crashed even more than we could have hoped, so we ended up buying all of the gifts we needed right there. And more, which we then sold later because I went back up for a profit. We then opened gifts for the rest of the stream, and continued to after I ended. All in all, opening the gifts took about 6 hours. In retrospect, I would have done red gifts because they're simply more interesting and take way less time. We also realistically had the money to afford them. But anyways, I didn't immediately buy the ice minions as I wanted to wait for Derpy since I didn't want to pick them up early and lose a ton of experience. But when Derpy came, I picked up the ice minions and carted them off to the Jerry Island to convert them to tier 12s. I honestly wasn't expecting this part to be expensive, but it was. It took my total cost from 217 million on gifts to 300 million in total. I had to buy 31,744 enchanted pack dice, which wasn't cheap, and it cost me 31 million coins just for the coin part of buying the minions. But finally, I had all of my 31 tier 12 ice minions. I only had 30 minion slots at the time, but that was rectified in a later stream. Yay. I'm so happy. Was it worth it? Yes, absolutely. If you're wondering what loot we got, it really isn't that interesting since green gifts don't really drop much of anything. I got about 50 million coins in raw coinage, 110 snow minions, 15 full sets of snow armor, 13 gift the fishes, 5 golden gifts, 987 ice runes, and a bunch of worthless enchanted books, minion skins, and furniture. If anybody wants to buy a lot of snow minions or something, just message me in-game, please. Also, if you've seen my previous ice minion video, you'll know that they're massively buffed with people AFKing in my island, so I would greatly appreciate as much AFK coverage as possible. Anyways, thank you so much for watching until the end of the video, and I hope you enjoyed this more story-like video rather than my usual guides.